It's time that we rank the students from Tokyo Jujutsu High. More specifically, I want to rank the first and second year students who participated in the Kyoto Sister School Goodwill event. But of course, if we're gonna properly rank anything, we have to set up the factors of how we're gonna rank them. So we have to take a look at their grade ranking. Do they have a curse technique? Is it an inherited curse technique? Do they use any curse tools? And more specifically, how did they actually perform in the Goodwill event? But before we get into any of that, I need a favor from you guys. Please like the video because it's gonna help me with the YouTube algorithm, because shorts are doing fantastic, but I want to get into more long videos like this. Also, subscribe to the channel if you like it, because we love to debate in the comments below. So if you see us debating, it's healthy. All right, we like to talk, we like to inform one another. And also, hit the noti bell. I post a lot, so why not hit it? Now, let's dive into the Tokyo students, ranked and explained. And I just gotta put out this disclaimer. We are ranking them at the end of the Goodwill event, okay? Their skills, how strong they are, all that at the end of the Goodwill event. Not the end of the story, not the end of the manga, not at the start of Modulo. No. At the end of season 1's Goodwill event. Alright, now that that's out of the way, let's jump right into it. Starting off with number 6 out of the 6 students who participated in Tokyo's side. We have Kugisaki. You know, we already know that Nobara did not want to be out where she is anymore because it's in the middle of nowhere. She wanted to be in the big city, and if becoming a sorcerer was the way to get there, well, that's what she's gonna do. So here she is, now participating in the Kyoto Sister School Goodwill event. And you know what? Even though she's coming in at number 6, she actually did really well, especially for this being her first time at the school participating in something versus a rival school. So we have to start off with her curse technique. It's not inherited. It is an innate technique. It is called Straw Doll Technique. But more specifically, she has 2 applications of this technique. She has Resonance and she has Hairpin. Now, while Resonance needs a piece of something else that she wants to affect with it in order to injure that thing and or person, Hairpin does not. Hairpin actually just creates giant nails all around the target from wherever she placed her nails, which she did to a great degree versus her opponent in this Goodwill event, that being Momo, of course. Not only did she take out Momo's ability to fly by attacking her broomstick, but also she stopped her reconnaissance for the opposing team for as long as the fight went on. Now, that being said, of course, she did not win that fight, although she probably should have if Mai did not step in and help Momo, but she did do a fantastic job keeping Momo busy for as long as she could. And we did see that if Mai did not intercept her last swing, she would have incapacitated Momo right at the very last moment. But unfortunately, since she did not eliminate a cursed spirit, she did not eliminate a user, she did not eliminate another student, we have to put her at the bottom of this list because other students just performed a little bit better. One of those students being our number 5 entry, Panda. Now, yes, we have Panda, who is the cursed puppet who was created in a lab, basically. Not really. He wasn't really created in a lab, but he was created. He was created by the principal, who was known as Yaga, who almost became a special grade, our 5th registered special grade, but that's neither here nor there, and that's later in the manga. Now, Panda has 3 separate cores, and that's important. Why that's important is because who he went up against and how many cores that person destroyed. So the semi-grade 2 Panda defeated the semi-grade 1 Mekamaru puppet in the Kyoto Sister School event, which is extremely impressive because Mekamaru is the 2nd strongest fighter in the Kyoto team. Now, Panda did defeat Mekamaru using his intellect, not just brute strength, which is very impressive for Panda showing off his intellect like that, because we saw that Mekamaru in season 2 was a huge participant in helping our cast free Satoru Gojo. Now, they did not ultimately do that, but he was very, very intelligent, and what he coached Yuji through in season 2 was very useful for Yuji's growth. But ultimately, we can't really say that he defeated Mekamaru cleanly, can we? I mean, sure, you can say he did not have help from the outside when he defeated Mekamaru. Sure, I'll give you that. But let me ask you something. If you lose 2 times before you defeat them, did you really win? Not only did Panda get sneak attacked, which, I mean, it is what it is. You know, there's opposing sorcerers around you. Why would you drop your guard? Boom, lost a core right there. Secondly, using, I think it was called his Ultimate Mechamaru Cannon or something along those lines. I mean, it definitely wasn't his Ultimate Mechamaru because we saw that in Season 2. But we saw his Ultimate Cannon, I think that's what it was called, be used to take out his sister core. So that's 2 cores right there and then. And all that was left was his brother's core, the Gorilla Core. So if Panda already lost 2 cores versus Mechamaru, then did he really win that fight fairly? Because at that point, you're telling me that you have multiple lives, and I have to take you out multiple times where I only have the 1 life. Now, I mean, at the same time, you could just say that that's his physiology, so it's not really his fault. It's not like he's cheating. Just because you have, say, like 10 shadows, right? You could summon multiple Shikigami, so you're technically not jumping somebody because that's your technique, so it's an extension of you. But that kind of sounds cheap when you were made with 3 cores. I mean, like, I don't know. You guys decide in the comments. To me, he really did not win fairly and cleanly, so I'm going to put him at number 5 on this list. But I will say this nice thing about Panda. He did help out by getting Mechamaru's phone, which helped ultimately taking out Miwa, which put her to sleep because of Toge, which is a great way to introduce our number 4 entry on this list, Toge Inumaki. The semi-grade 1, the only semi-grade 1 from Tokyo Jujutsu High at this current point in the story. God, where do I start with Toge? Because his list is actually pretty long. So, let's start off with the fact that the Kyoto students were genuinely fearful of Toge and where he would be, because cursed speech is actually extremely powerful and they do not have a clear answer to it. Now, that being said, Kamo felt very confident against it. However, he also seemed very reliant, if I do say so myself, when it came down to going up against Hanami and allowing Toge to weaken Hanami for him to be able to attack her. So if Kamo, you really had an answer for Toge, I would have loved to see what it was, because it seemed like you were extremely reliant and hoping that he would be able to hold out versus that special grade. Now, I'm not going to say Aoi Todo was stressed out about Toge at the end of the day, because we're talking about a guy who went up against 5 grade 1 cursed spirits and did not use his curse technique. I won't even mention the special grade. So, the other Kyoto students are obviously not at Aoi Todo's level, so they were genuinely worried about Toge, so we're going to give it to just that reputation alone for Toge being so formidable. But what did the Tokyo students rely on him for? They believed that he would be able to exercise the either semi-grade 1 or grade 2 cursed spirit that was released out there for them to finish off, because that was the whole point of day 1, was to finish off that spirit. Now, I say either because I don't really remember which grade it was, so I would love for somebody to please educate me on what it was, because I genuinely don't remember, and I did not go back to read the manga to find out what it was. Oh, by the way, did I also mention the fact that he was holding off a special grade cursed spirit in Hanami? Yeah, he did that multiple times, and not only that, but he also blew Hanami away to buy them more time to escape, which ultimately they did not do, because Kamo was down and Megumi was the only one left, because Toge did fall and collapse right after this, but I mean, he was exhausted, I won't lie. Who knows how many times he slew down Hanami before, he was shown with Megumi and Kamo, so I'm not going to say that he did not use curse speech prior to that, but chances are he did. We also saw him use curse speech to tell the other 2 to run away because Hanami was that formidable. So chances are he did, in fact, go up against Hanami, at least for a small bit of time. And potentially surviving an interaction with Hanami by yourself is enough to put you at number 4 on this list. I won't even mention the fact that he put Miwa to sleep, because I did kind of mention that in the Panda thing. But yeah, he also took out Miwa, kinda. But I really have to give Miwa being defeated to our number 3 entry. That's right, because number 3 is our MVP of the Goodwill event, because she potentially did more than anybody else. It's just that number 2 and number 1 kind of held off a stronger opponent. So coming in at number 3, we have our grade 4 sorcerer, Maki Zenin. And that last name is very important, because that is the whole reason she is a grade 4 sorcerer, because she is not weak by no means. She is not a grade 4 sorcerer. No, she is at the very least semi-grade 2, but in my opinion, probably grade 2. I have not mentioned this yet, but there is a sorcerer who eliminated 2, not just 1, 2 students from the other side. Yeah, that would be Maki Zenin, who eliminated both Miwa in hand-to-hand combat and Mai, which basically left Mai kind of like in a pile of like tears because she started thinking about the past. Starting off with how she defeated Miwa, she was able to stop Miwa from using her simple domain by 1, starting off with hand-to-hand combat, Two, well, I guess they wasn't really hand to hand since she used her tool versus Miwa's katana, but regardless, it was pretty close combat. Then when Miwa finally had some distance from Maki, she was able to implement her simple domain, which Maki immediately figured out how to counter it by breaking her staff in half, tossing one side to Miwa where she had to draw her katana, which immediately moved her feet, which immediately stopped the simple domain, and then Maki threw a kunai at her to double down on the fact that Miwa was not going to be able to plant her feet again. And then, guess what? She closed the range because Maki has heavenly restriction. And although it is not at Toji's level yet, it is damn well close enough to stop Miwa. And stop her is what she did, because no, she did not just hurt Miwa. What she did was she took her katana away, which completely stopped her techniques. So that was it for Miwa. And then when it came down to finding and stopping Mai, you want to know what she did? I gotta give her credit, but first, before I could give her credit, I have to explain what Mai did, because Mai was actually very, very smart in this battle. So what Mai has is the ability to create things, because her curse technique is construction. So construction, although Mai has a very low pool of curse energy being a twin, construction allows her to create objects. Mai creates a bullet. She can only create one a day. But guess what? That's enough, because she doesn't use a simple handgun. No. She uses a revolver, which has 6 bullets. But if she creates a 7th bullet that you are not aware of, when she shoots 6 rounds, you're thinking you could close the distance and end the fight before she reloads, right? No, that is not the case, because that's what Maki thought. And so she's closing the distance before she gets a chance to reload. And Mai fires a 7th bullet point blank. And now we're thinking, that's it. That's it. She got her. She won. No. You want to know what Maki does? She grabs the bullet in her hand, stops it, dead in her tracks. Just like that. And Mai's just like, okay, that's it. I lose. I don't know what else you want me to do. So yeah, she defeated 2 students without actually harming the students. I mean, when I say she didn't actually harm them, I mean, yes, some injury was inflicted, but she did not go above that. You know, she didn't do an insane amount of damage, okay? We weren't out here trying to scar people. We were just trying to make it that you couldn't fight anymore. Also, I have to give her for her leadership and her expertise, because she was really showing how much of a leader she is from the start of the show. I mean, really from episode 0 to where they are in season 3 at this point. Her leadership shines. And honestly, I would have given her the 2nd place on this list if it wasn't for the fact that an inherited technique is so difficult to go up against. Because our number 2 entry in Megumi Fushiguro, the grade 2 sorcerer, went up against an inherited technique user in Kamo, who is the 3rd strongest student, mind you, from Kyoto High. And yes, Kamo has the inherited technique of blood manipulation. And yeah, Megumi has 10 Shadows technique, which is also an inherited technique, maybe the best from the Zenin clan. But we have to remember something. An inherited technique is a good and bad thing, because 1, curse users, yes, they do understand that knowledge of the inherited technique is out there in the Jujutsu society, where other people can learn it and they can also combat against it. Having an inherited technique is a double-edged sword, because yes, people like, say, Toji Fushiguro can learn what your technique is. That doesn't mean they can use it, obviously. That just means that they know what's coming. However, that means you get to train on it, from the previous sorcerer's knowledge to the guy before that, the girl before that, and so on and so on. Hundreds of years of knowledge being poured into your brain from studying about how you can use your technique, not to mention modern day applications of it. The difference between Kamo and Megumi in this circumstance is the fact that Kamo is with his clan and is said to be the next head, while Megumi does not bangs with the Zenin clan, so he is not there actively learning more about his curse technique. I mean, you have Satoru Gojo, of course, who will obviously get you whatever you need so you can learn about your technique. However, we don't have clear-cut information that Megumi was able to learn all the information about his technique, because we saw in flashbacks with Gojo that Megumi was still being told information by Gojo about his curse technique. So obviously he doesn't know years and years and years of information, just like Kamo has access to all that information because he's said to be the next head. So why would you not give the next head of your clan all this information about blood manipulation to allow him to get better and better with the applications of it? So Megumi was at a disadvantage here, especially because we saw that piercing blood wasn't even used versus Megami. So the fact that Megami was able to not only hold his own, but nearly defeat Kamo until the point where Kamo saw a flashback, and we know how flashbacks work in JJK, not just in JJK actually. Flashbacks in anime are like a buff to your stats, okay? If you see a flashback, more than likely you're about to go crazy, we're about to hear a theme song go play, and you're probably gonna win. And if you don't win, you probably dealt enough damage where the next guy up can take out the opponent. We also have to say that Megami held off Hanami long enough for Maki to show up so that Megami could also team up with her in order to hold back Hanami from, taking out any of the other students until Yuji and Todo were able to arrive. Which leads us finally into our number 1 entry. That's right, the student who performed the best from the Tokyo side at the Kyoto Sister School Goodwill event, hosted by Tokyo of course, was our boy Yuji Itadori. You know what's funny is the way that I just said that last part, it sounded like I was sponsoring the Goodwill event. And talking about sponsorship, this is not one about Funko Pop whatsoever. But look at this. My wife got me a King Hen 97 Funko Pop for my birthday today. That's sick. I love that. And it's got a little coffee because I love coffee. Yeah, I love that. That's awesome. And again, that's not a sponsorship. But if you want to sponsor me, Funko Pop, go ahead. Do your thing. Yuji Itadori, he does not have a grade. So I cannot sit here and genuinely tell you that he is a grade 2 sorcerer, grade 1, whatever. However, if you ask me, he's probably a semi-grade 2 or grade 2 sorcerer. I'd feel comfortable putting him up there because he did fight a special grade curse at this point, and he's going to go up against another special grade curse. And he also defeated a couple transfigured humans, which I believe are grade 3 in strength. But you want to know who's not grade 3 in strength? Yuji Itadori went toe-to-toe with Aoi Todo, the grade 1 sorcerer from Kyoto, the person who took out 5 grade 1 cursed spirits during the night parade of 100 demons, or 1,000. I forgot if it was 1,000 or 100. I think it was 100. And also defeated a special grade cursed spirit at that same night. And also Todo said that Yuji's raw strength is greater than his own. But that's not what I really want to touch on. I want to touch on the fact that Yuji went toe-to-toe with Hanami before Todo even jumped in there. And Todo said, Yuji, hit a Black Flash or I'm not jumping in there. I don't care if you get unalived or whatever the case is. Hit a Black Flash. Yuji locked in. Well, kind of didn't lock in first. Got smacked in the face, locked in, hit a Black Flash on Hanami, mind you, dealt an insane amount of damage, which we saw at this point. Hanami's most amount of damage was realistically either being hit by the special grade curse tool, Playful Cloud, or when her branches got kind of chopped off. Either way, Hanami did not suffer a major amount of damage up to this point. No, the most amount of damage Hanami suffered at this point was the Black Flash from Yuji Itadori himself, which he then goes to hit multiple Black Flashes versus Hanami, tying the current record of 4 Black Flashes in a row, which I have to say Todo was immensely happy for his brother, and he jumped in there and started getting active with Yuji. But what could we say? All the other students did do their part to hold back Hanami as much as they could, but only one student, well, I guess you could say 2, but only one student held Hanami back to the point where she tried to use her domain expansion, and then Satoru Gojo, of course, jumped in. Yuji Itadori at our number 1 entry makes complete sense. And that's everything that you need to know about how the Tokyo students participated and ultimately performed in the Kyoto Sister School Goodwill event. But if you disagree with me, go ahead and let me know in the comments below. We'll debate. We'll talk about it, in a healthy way, using source material, a little bit of headcanon, but some source material, of course. Otherwise, have a great rest of your day. Please stay safe, and I will see you guys in the next video. See ya.